We have some image views. Notice that I can define multiple image views or multiple objects like this as well. For example, I can say back arrow, comma, and settings, comma, voice, comma, cart, comma, car. I can define them like this as well, but the type should be the same for all of them. Private, edit text, we have a bunch of them. Let's say name, edit text, email, edit text. We also had description, edit text, and website, edit text. Also, we had a spinner, we had a radio group, private, radio group, and we had a button as well. I think those are all my elements, but let's see once again. Image views, name, email, description, radio button, spinner, edit text, and this button, and this image views as well. Yes, those are all. In here I can initialize my items, my elements as before, but I don't intend to mess things up. I'm going to create another method and do all the initializing in that. I'm going to call it init widgets, not going to pass anything, and let's create our method in here. Private void init widgets. Okay, back arrow is equal to copy and paste a few more times. Settings, voice, cart, and car. Settings, voice, cart, and car. Our edit text, names edit text is equal to edit text find view by id r.id dot names edit text. Email edit text, description edit text, and website edit text. Email edit text, description edit text, and website edit text. Believe it or not, sometimes defining new elements can be boring. r.id dot country spinner. We had a radio group, and also a button. Okay, that's all of our layout elements, user interface elements. After initializing all my items, I need to pass the country names to this spinner via an adapter. For that, let's create an array list in here. array list of type string. Let's call it countries. Countries.add, let's say United States. And here United Kingdom. Let's say Switzerland. Germany. Australia. And France, for example. I'm not going to enter all the names of all the countries. Okay, let's create our array adapter. String our adapter is equal to new array adapter of type string. In here I need to pass a context, which I'm going to pass this, which refers to this activity. I need to pass a layout. I'm going to pass android.or.layout.simple spinner dropdown item, which is a pre-built layout file. And also I need to pass my array list. Okay, after that I will set the adapter to my spinner. Set adapter and to adapter. Next, let's create an onClick listener for our finish button. btn finish.set onClick listener, new onClick listener. I will create another method and will continue my job in there because I want to have a clean code. Okay, let's say finish registering. Let's create our method down below in here, private void. In here we'll get the values of all of these elements, or at least all the ones that we need, and we'll show them in a toast message to the user. For that, let's get the values. String name is equal to name edit text dot get text dot to string. String email is equal to email edit text dot get text dot to string. Also we have description script string description dot get text dot to string website is equal to website dot get text dot to string. I will get the spinner values as well, and also these values from this radio group as well. String gender is equal to an empty string for now. Let's get the ID of our checked radio button, and checked radio button is equal to our radio group dot get checked radio button ID, and depending on that, in case it's r.id.rbmail, our gender would be male. Gender is equal to female. In case is r.id.other gender would be other, and a break, the default, and a break. Now let's get the value of our spinner, which is the name of the country that user has entered. For that, I'm going to create a field in here, a string field in here, private string country, initialize it to an empty string. Also, I'm going to change this array list to a field up in here. Let's say private countries. Now we have access to the spinner's items. For that, I can say spinner.set on item click listener, on item selected listener, new on item selected listener, and depending on the option that user is choosing, I'm going to change this text in here, this country. Okay, let's say country is equal to countries, which is our array list dot get with an index of our position. And if also nothing has been chosen by the user, I'm going to set it manually in here to no country selected. Okay, now I think we have get everything we needed. Radio groups, but finish button, a spinner, edit text, just this image view that I told that I'm going to just show a toast message by clicking on them. So let's create those on-click listeners as well. I'm going to create those on-click listeners inside another method, but I'm going to call those before this btn finish. For that, let's create that method. Let's say init on-click listeners. I'm going to create it down in here, private void init on item click listener on click listeners. For the back arrow, that's set on click listener, new on click listener, and a toast message. Let's say back arrow clicked or tapped. Also for settings, in here I would simply say settings tapped. Now let's run our program in here, and we'll define these three cases as well. Let's run our program. Okay, seems like our app needs some other things to do as well. For example, first we need to fix this finish button and this bottom layout. But for now, I don't think we created a toast message to show the details of the user's registration after the clicking on this finish button. So let's create that. For that, I'm going to go up in here, and after this finish registering, let's create a string in here. I'm going to call it final message. Let's say name plus name plus \n, email plus email plus \n to go to a new line, then description plus description \n, and website also plus website. Now let's create our toast message. This, and for the string I'm going to pass final message in here. The other thing, let's create these other three remaining on-click listeners for our image views. For that, voice.set on-click listener new on-click listeners, toast. The other one was cart. And the other one was cart. Okay, let's fix our layout as well. It was in layout folder in activity main. I'm just going to remove this 30 margin from here. Now let's run our program. Basically, in a real-world application, you might need to create a scroll view or a nested scroll view, in which we will work with in the future videos when we create our applications. But for now, I'm just going to increase the size by removing the margins from finish to this website. Let's see how does our application looks like. It's not perfect, but it's working for us. Let's first click on this uh, back arrow tabs, setting tabs, also these three, voice, cart, and car tabs. Okay, these are working fine. Let's say Maysam at gmail.com. Description, mail. Let's minimize the keyword. For the country, let's say Germany. For the website, maysam.com. And now if we hit on finish, we can see our toast message, which is the user's details, user's registration detail. This challenge and this session might not seem interesting to some of you. I agree with you, but it was the necessary step. We needed to learn this. Also, we haven't covered everything in layout. There are a lot of things, and I just decided to work with those other elements in the perfect time when we create our application and by practice, not just all at once. So our layout talks will continue on and in the future applications that we will create. But for now, this session is over. In the next session, we will create our first major application, in which will take something between 3 to 5 hours to create. So stay tuned for the next session.